What's going on, guys, and welcome to the 74th Xamarin.Android tutorial. So this video, along with probably a few others, are going to be regarding SignalR. And there's two reasons why I am going over SignalR. One is I've been getting a lot of requests for it in the last couple weeks, months, about doing some SignalR stuff that integrates with, of course, Xamarin.Android. And the second reason is that it's pretty freaking awesome. It's an awesome API that is for ASP.NET applications built by Microsoft, and that's probably going back to the first reason why it was requested in the first place by so many of you guys. So here we are, SignalR, and for those of you that aren't familiar with what SignalR is, let's go ahead and dive into some documentation. I'll give you a brief introduction to what it is. So SignalR is the first couple sentences. It simplifies the process of adding real-time web functionality to web applications. Real-time web functionality is the ability to have server code push content to connected clients instantly as it becomes available. So this right here is kind of the main in a nutshell, if you will, what SignalR is all about. So it is creating a connection between the server and the clients, and allows the server to be able to push back data. And you might be like, well, servers push back data a lot to clients anyway, And one instance is, of course, if I were to refresh this page right now, me being the client in the browser, Chrome, goes out and finds the server that this code is mapped to via DNS and the domain given and all that stuff, all that good networking stuff. So, but basically, it goes to the server, it requests this page. Their server says, okay, here you go. Executes any kind of server-side code on it, returns the HTML along with anything else, and here you go, do what you want with it. Chrome says thank you, and I will render this HTML and show the client that. So that's the server talking to the client, yes. But what SignalR differs is mainly because of the connection, the constant connection. And when I'm talking about that, I'm mainly talking about WebSockets. So SignalR and WebSockets. So SignalR uses a new WebSocket transport where available. So where available means if the supported platform. So if the IIS version that ASP.NET is running on, if the client also supports it. So a lot of things have to be set up in play, and you kind of have to have a lot of the modern technology to be able to use WebSockets. But this is the ideal situation because a WebSocket creates a connection to the clients based from the server. So they are connected, and they are because of it you can get data nearly instantly. Okay, so what it will do is SignalR will actually abstract a lot of the stuff out, where it will fall back on different transports depending on if the client the client doesn't meet the needs. So what it will do is it'll fall back to, for instance, Forever Frame. Forever Frame was another transport that I'll use instead of WebSockets. It's not as good. It'll probably be a higher latency, and it's for Internet Explorer only. There's also long pulling, which isn't really ideal. The server sent events, and where this sort of the next best thing to WebSockets, it'll send an event to the client telling it to update something based on the server. But the WebSocket is the way to go, because it's sort of like they are the best way to say it. They're connected. They are talking to each other, and they are ready for data. The server and the client. The server can easily push data to the client. Establishes a true, persistent, two-way connection between client and server. So, but it also says that there are stringent requirements, like what I said. They have very modern technologies have to be used for this. Okay, so that's what SignalR is, and you can say, okay, well, if it hasn't really hit your mind yet, what can I do with it? Well, what you could do with it is mainly a good example that's used is a chat system, and that's what we're going to come back to over here. So a chat system is, like you guess, you can be able to connect to a server, 2 clients, 3 clients, 4, 5, whatever, and be able to talk to each other through a chat system, and then the server will delegate the data that's coming in from the clients and push the data to the connected clients, and so on. So that's a very common example of what SignalR can do is chat. So all of the other examples may be some sort of gaming. You can any sort of online game that you want to be playing with your friends live. That will be another good thing. SignalR, when it's using WebSockets, is very, very fast. It's very nice to have. From what I've seen, it's a very powerful API that does a lot more than what we're going to go into, but I just want to get you guys started into the right direction of Xamarin using SignalR API. So here we go, guys. For those of you guys that know SignalR, sorry about that. I just want to make sure that everyone understands what's kind of going on and why you want to use why you would want to use it. And it always goes back to the why, not the how, right? You want to know why you're using something. So here we go. And these are two clients, and they are running the same application. They are connected to the same server. So they are connected, and it's asking username. So we'll do 5-inch just because this is a 5-inch tablet, and we'll do red. And at this point, it is now connected to the client. So it has now established a connection. And then we'll come over here, and we will do 7-inch, do blue. And okay, so they are both connected. So I can say, hello, 7-inch tablet. And this kind of blinking a little bit. I think the OpenGL is hitting my graphics card pretty hard, so it's probably why you might see a little glitching in the UI. Sorry about that. Oops. So if we hit send, you can see that it shows up here. Okay, and then you can say, hello, how are you doing? And send it back. I'm over here. So, these two are obviously right next to each other so that we can see it, but don't let that kind of take away from what's really going on here. These are not connected locally at all. So these clients could be on the other side of the world, and it would work just the same as long as they have an internet connection, of course. So these are working independently of each other and not connected locally. So it kind of takes away of like the awe of it because they are right by each other. But so I do want to stress a little bit that they are indefinitely connected to a server that is reached out globally, and therefore they could be very far apart and it would work just the same. So just to kind of continue this example, that's good to hear. And then you can do something like, oops, go back over here. Yes, it is. Smiley face. Okay, so I mean, you guys get the picture at this point. So we're just talking to each other now. And notice that it is color coded, so it's easy to see. And that's just something that I did real quick. But the real example is the actual technology that is working with underneath the sheets of this API. So let me go ahead and stop here, and we will now continue on with the actual server implementation. Okay, so there are two different things that are going on. There's the server side and there is the client side. And the client side is obviously the Xamarin. The server side will be the ASP.NET application. And if you go back to here and you go to tutorial getting started with SignalR IR2, which is a tab that I have open right here, you can see that the server implementation that's running is essentially this. Okay, so if you guys want to follow this tutorial, and fall back to this is what basically I'm following and that I set up. Okay, so you can kind of reference back to here, or you can just if you feel comfortable enough, we can start it up here as well. Okay, so here is the server side of the SignalR implementation. So let's go ahead and start a new project, and this was in 2013. I'm going to pull up 2015, and we are going to start the server side implementation of it. Okay, so this is going to be just a server part, and it's going to be two different projects just to make it cleaner and a little more modular. So we're going to start a new project, and it's going to be an ASP.NET, and we will call it SignalR _ server. All right. And we're going to do an empty ASP.NET application. Simple as that. Hit OK. let that create it for us. And we may come in and we're in and out of this application in the next video or two. So just kind of keep that in mind, that this won't be the only thing that we are doing in here. More than likely, we may need to implement some different kind of code. So the first thing we want to do, we have an empty ASP.NET application that has nothing to do with SignalR at this time. Here's what it renders when I run it. Absolutely nothing. And the main reason why it's giving somewhat of a 403 error is because there's no default document. So we can easily fix that by adding a default document. So we'll do new item. We'll do index.html, and we will just add a paragraph tag, and we will do hello world. So now if we go ahead and run it, we should not see that. We should now see just hello world. Okay. So that's kind of besides the point, but that's at least when we run it, we won't get that error for now. So before we really get started, let me go ahead and give you guys an example of what this application looks like. Bring it over here. Just bring that over here. All right, so here is the c4beginners.com website, but :901 will take you to the SignalR implementation part of it. So if you refresh this page, what it's going to do, the first thing that this site does is prompt you for your name. So I will do Joe Rock. And now that it has my name, I can come into here and let me go ahead and make another instance of it. So let me bring this over. And there you go. Okay, so we have two instances of this, and I will do Joe Rock clone. All right, so I'll say hello, how are you? And notice that it comes up on both screens. I am doing terrible. Joe Rock clone to respond to this. So once again, you know, these can be you can try this on your browser actually, guys. This is live, so just pull this up. If you do c4beginners.com in a browser :901, you will get this application. Okay, so and I'll keep it up for however long. If you guys are using it, that's fine. Give you kind of something to play with and what it should look like, and you should start to see it looks like it's doing a lot about what the application that Xamarin was doing. So the Xamarin application I showed you earlier, it's doing essentially the same thing. So we just want to make this implementation inside of Xamarin. So here is the connection that we're going to make, okay? And this is the server that's going to be able to connect to clients and push data to them. So there it is. And that's what we're going to be working towards. That is this application right here, the one that it is given to you. I believe you can download it right here. So if you want to just download it, that's fine. But I do want to go over it. I feel that it's worth taking a few minutes out to go over it. That way we fully understand it. But if you don't want to, just go to that website, the ASP.NET website, and you can download the complete project and start it up from there. All right, so the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to close this one, and then we're going to want to come back over here and add a new item. So the new item that we're going to want to add is a SignalR hub class. And the hub class is essentially a connection that can be made to the server by the client. So the client connects to a hub, and we can have multiple hubs. Okay, so in that way we can kind of delegate what connects to what. So we are going to make a SignalR hub class, and that we're only going to make one in this tutorial, but that is what this is for. And we're going to call it Chat Hub. And if you notice that once it did that, it added a whole bunch of stuff to this project. So that is now when it added ASP.NET SignalR.core, .systemweb, and so on, some ON DLLs. So as soon as I added that, it said, oh, okay, you want to add SignalR to your application. Let me go ahead and reference all this stuff for you. So Visual Studio took care of all that for us. Super convenient, awesome, I'm happy. Okay, now that that's created, and like I said, this is going to be a chat hub, and this is what it's called, chat hub, and a hub is something that a client will be able to connect to. And the next thing we need is a startup. All right, and that's going to be the one that actually does the configuration and starts up the SignalR server implementation. So let's go ahead and come back over here to our Solution Explorer, new item, and let's look for something called, if I can find it, here it is, the ON startup class. All right, so let's go ahead and click on that guy, and we will call it startup. So let's just kind of omit this one and hit OK. So it has done this for us. It set this up. It gives us a link to how to configure it. The very basics, at least. It's pretty simple. Notice that the configuration, the system will call the configuration method, and then it's our job to do anything inside of here, which let's go ahead and specify that. We'll do any connection or hub wire and configuration should go here. So what we want to do is we want to use the IApp builder that's passed in, and we want to call a map SignalR, and it maps the SignalR hubs to the app builder pipeline. So that's the /SignalR that is up in the URL. Okay, guys, so that is pretty much all that we need to do at the very basics. Like I said, there's much more to do inside the configuration, and this is kind of just a template startup project, so let's keep it at that. This is all we need to do in this configuration class is just map the SignalR. All right, so that's all good to go. The next thing that we need to do is we need to change this method, okay? But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to actually change the index, so the home page. And what I want to do is I want to make it look like the text box and all that stuff that came up in the chat client that I just showed you. If we come over here, and this is a project that you can download, it is index.html, and in there it does some JavaScript, and that's what renders the text box. It's what brings up the it adds some IDs to the text box, the buttons, and kind of just does some simple JavaScript. Okay, so I'm not going to go over it too much. I'm literally just going to copy that and paste it into here, but I will go over a little bit of what's going on. So what it's doing is it says, okay, chat.client.broadcast message. And what is broadcast message? And that's what I want to go back over to Chat Hub for, because broadcast message is the message that is able to be called through the that's what calls the client. Okay, so this is the server code, and this is calling the client. So all we need to do is clients.all.broadcast, and this does have to be word for word message, and this will do name and message. And where does these variables come from? Of course, well, that comes from, we're going to rename that method to send. We'll do string name, and it's going to be another string message. All right, so who sent it and the message that they sent. And then what we're going to do, so the server gets this called by the client, a client, and then what it does is it broadcasts to all the clients what one client sent. Okay, so it just relays the message over. And that's all done in the JavaScript, at the calling of things, okay? So what we want to do is we want to look over here and says chat.client.broadcast message. So what this does is it's listening for this call. So the server calls. Well, actually, let me go back over here. It's a little easier if I do this. So here is the button click. And what do I mean by the button click? Let me pull it back up for you guys. So this is what I mean by the button click. So this is the send button. And when that's sent, you probably, like, you remember, you saw the client update that all the clients, just the two that we saw, whatever was sent in the text box. So that's this button right here, guys. That is this click button right here. Okay, so when that is called, what it does is do chat server, which chat is a connection to the chat hub. It does chat.server.send, and this is the name, and this is the message. And the name, remember, is received from here. So when it first starts up, when it prompts you for your name, that value is saved inside of this tag, and that's all just appended right here. So this chat.server.send, it's sending to the server, and it's calling the send function. That is this send function right here. Okay, so if this was that wouldn't work. It has to be named the same. So it is calling this function on the server. The client JavaScript is in this case, and that is the two parameter function, name and message. So name, message, and what that does is it calls it, and then remember, now it comes over here, and it says, okay, here we are, and it comes into here, and it says the server now says clients, all of them, call the broadcast message. I trust that there is a broadcast message that I can call on all the clients that takes in a name and a message. Well, yes, there is. It's right here. Chat client broadcast message equals a function that takes in a name and a message. If this was broadcast that wouldn't work. It has to be named the same. The server is now trusting that there's a definition of a function named broadcast message that takes in two parameters, a name and a message. Basically, essentially a string, but JavaScript, that's a little weird, but essentially two variables that can take strings, and that's right, this right here. Okay, and what does that do? Well, then you can do whatever you want with it. Now the client says, okay, well, when I do that, when I get that, I'm going to append the name, and I'm going to append the message, and I'm going to put it in my little chat box, and that's exactly what it does. Okay, so we call the server code send, that gets called, who then goes out and goes into all the clients, including the caller, and that represents right here what's happening. Okay, guys, just as simple as that. SignalR has made it very, very simple for us. It's very awesome. And then one thing to note, guys, is this is I copy and paste it from the old library, which was an old library. So I believe 2.12 is the newest right now, that I have at least. And let's go ahead and fix that. And I believe if you actually come into the NuGet packages, you'll be able to see that there may be an upgrade for your installed packages. Well, it looks like an error occurred. Sometimes it's always good to check to see if there's any kind of updates to the libraries you have. And sure enough, there is a latest stable. You can even show a pre-release, I believe, if you wanted to. So do check up, because, you know, who knows when you're watching this video, it may be probably a lot later than what you know, I'm recording it in, and at that point there's going to be updates. So those, looks like there's already a few. They're just minor updates, I believe, but this one is 2.12. But the client and the one you're using do have to be the same, or at least I know I got an error when I didn't use the same version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time to upgrade all of these right here. All right, so there you have it. So as you see, upgrade available, there's nothing left. I've upgraded all of my dependencies and libraries that I needed. And currently I am on 2.2 for SignalR, and then I also upgraded my SignalR.core. So I should be all good to go. When I do download the client, I want to make sure that these are the same versions. Of course, it's impossible to say what version you're going to be on. But if you look right here for .core, you can see that I'm on 2.2. So when I do get the .client for the Xamarin project, which we'll do in the next video, I want to make sure that I am on the same library as the core. All right, because I do remember I did get an error because I wasn't. So I just want to make sure that I point that out. And then now that I upgraded that, I believe I need to come into here and upgrade, reference the right library. So notice that this is now out of date. Let's go ahead and reference the minimum version, and let's go ahead and run it and see if it's working. Crossing your fingers is never a bad idea. Now that I look, I do see that the jQuery was also updated significantly. So let me go ahead and make sure that is reflected. And little things like this, when you upgrade that, NuGet packages or whatever, can't always take care of. So do watch out for that. And let's bring that over here. So this is what is running. If I refresh the page, this comes up. And if I do this, I can see that this is now working. So if I added another, if I copied this and brought it over here, I'd be able to see that it is indeed working. And there we go. So here's my responses to that on this side. And then of course, if I do this, I should get some stuff over here. So this is now working. And as you can see, guys, I hope that wasn't too painful. It's done a lot of it for us, and it's pretty awesome. So really all we needed to do was make a chat hub so that our client can connect to it, and to have a startup file, an O1 startup, and this will map SignalR, and just add some JavaScript just for basically an example to see what we actually created, right? So at that point, we are finished with the server version, and we are going to want to come back in here and make some implementations and add another method more than likely. So we got to keep this in mind, all right? But that is the server side of it, and essentially is done besides a few tweaks here and there, but that looks like it's good to go. So in the next video, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be creating the Xamarin portion of it inside of Visual Studio, and this will be the client aspect, and you'll see how that will now interact with the server version that we created, and essentially going to be doing the same thing, just relaying messages. But of course, it'll be a little different because it's not JavaScript. It's going to be integrating that with Xamarin. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.